It wasn't a high-profile trial. No national headlines. No courtroom sketches on primetime news. But what made this case so haunting was the conviction itself. Because for 12 years, there was nothing, not a shred of physical evidence, no credible suspects, no body. Just a 19-year-old girl who vanished into the Montana cold after a college party. Then, in the summer of 2022, her phone, long believed to be lost at the bottom of a river or buried in forest soil, powered on. For less than a minute. That moment cracked open the silence and exposed a truth someone had buried for more than a decade. November 13, 2010, Missoula, Montana. Alyssa Winters was a second-year student at the University of Montana. Biology major. Known for her sarcasm, her laugh, and her quiet confidence. She was the kind of person who made fast friends but kept a tight circle. That Saturday, she went to a house party with her roommate, Lila. A student-hosted gathering just off campus. Loud music, cheap vodka, too many bodies packed into a two-story house on 5th Street. Sometime around midnight, Alyssa told Lila she wasn't feeling great. Too many drinks, maybe. She said she was heading back to their dorm on foot, a 15-minute walk. At 12:43 a.m., she sent a text to Lila. "Home soon. My phone's dying." But she never made it. By the next morning, panic hadn't quite set in. College students stayed out. Crashed at friends' places. Phones died. This wasn't unusual. But by afternoon, Alyssa hadn't returned any messages. She missed a shift at her part-time job at the campus bookstore. Her mother, Dana Winters, called Lila after Alyssa missed their regular Sunday morning call. By evening, Dana had filed a missing person report. On November 14, 6:22 p.m., the search began. Missoula PD canvassed the route from the party to her dorm. Dogs were brought in. They traced a weak scent for 2 blocks before losing it near Higgins Avenue. No signs of a struggle. No calls to 911. No surveillance that clearly identified her. One camera at a liquor store captured someone matching her build and outfit, walking alone, hands in her coat pocket, head down. But the footage was grainy. There was no way to confirm if it was Alyssa. Investigators started with those closest to her. Shane Grady, her ex-boyfriend, was the obvious place to look. He and Alyssa had broken up a month prior after a messy back-and-forth relationship. Jealousy, arguments, accusations. Shane was brought in within 48 hours. He was emotional but cooperative. Claimed he hadn't seen Alyssa that night. He'd been out drinking with friends at the Rhino Bar downtown. CCTV backed up his story. His phone records placed him downtown from 10:45 p.m. to well past 2 a.m. He was ruled out. And then, nothing. For months, flyers stayed up around Missoula. Every creek and culvert along her route home was searched. Tips trickled in, mostly false leads. Her bank card was never used again. Her phone remained off. By the spring of 2011, the case was cold. June 14, 2022, 12:03 a.m. A routine alert was triggered on an outdated cell network monitoring system. A device previously listed in the NCIC database as evidence in a missing person case had connected briefly to a private Wi-Fi network in Flathead County, nearly 120 miles north of Missoula. It pinged once, then went dead. That device was an iPhone 6, registered to Alyssa Winters. Detectives in Missoula were notified the next morning. The Wi-Fi belonged to a private lakeside property, a seasonal rental cabin used sporadically by an older couple who had recently sold the land to a local forestry worker named Peter Langley. Langley had no criminal record and allowed police to search the property. He'd only lived there for 5 years and claimed to know nothing about any phone. But behind the cabin, inside a locked tool shed, detectives found something strange, a rusted metal box under a workbench. Inside it, a faded leather purse. Inside the purse, a University of Montana student ID, a driver's license, some old receipts, a chapstick, and a water-damaged phone. The phone was sent to a forensic lab in Helena. Despite years of damage, a forensic extraction was partially successful. The phone's battery had likely shorted, but someone had connected it to a charger at the cabin, just long enough to trigger the automatic Wi-Fi connection. What investigators recovered weren't just old photos or texts. They found drafts, unsent messages. One stood out. A note typed into the iPhone's Notes app at 12:48 a.m., minutes after Alyssa left the party. "He's here. Not Shane. He followed me. I'm scared. Not sure what to do." It was never sent, but it changed everything. Detectives revisited the original case files. Among the 70-plus interviews from 2010, one student, a freshman named Jamie, had mentioned Alyssa arguing outside the party with a guy she didn't seem to want to see. At the time, investigators thought she meant Shane. But now that wasn't so clear. Old photos from that party were reviewed. Dozens of faces. One stood out, a man named Travis Beller. He was a senior in 2010. Had classes in the same department as Alyssa. He was quiet and well-liked. He had never been interviewed. Why? Because no one had connected them. But now, Dana Winters remembered something. Alyssa had mentioned a guy named Travis in October, someone she'd gone for coffee with twice, then ghosted after he got weirdly intense. Detectives ran his name. Travis Beller had graduated and left Montana in 2011. Moved to Oregon. But he'd recently returned and was living just 12 miles from the Flathead Lake cabin. He was brought in for questioning. Travis sat calmly in the interview room. He said he remembered Alyssa, said they had a couple of friendly chats. Denied any romantic involvement. Claimed he hadn't seen her since a group study session in late October 2010. But when investigators showed him the image of Alyssa's recovered purse, something shifted. Not panic. Not guilt. Just an eerie, practiced blankness. He asked for a lawyer. With a warrant, detectives searched Travis's home. Behind his garage was a rented storage unit, leased under his father's name since 2011. Inside, fishing nets, tarp, and spools of electrical wire. In July 2022, divers from the Flathead County Sheriff's Office searched a cove near the rental cabin. A fisherman had once complained about snagging on something big years earlier. At a depth of 18 feet, divers found a human jawbone caught in a net. It took 3 days to recover the remains. Dental records confirmed Alyssa Winters. Autopsy revealed a fractured hyoid bone. Broken fingernails. Evidence of bindings. This was not an accident. Faced with mounting evidence, Travis Beller entered a plea deal in December 2022. He admitted to following Alyssa the night of November 13th. He claimed he wanted to talk. When she refused, they argued. He grabbed her. She fought. He panicked. Strangled her. He wrapped her in a tarp, drove her body north overnight, and weighted it in Flathead Lake using rocks and netting. He returned weeks later to hide her belongings in the cabin shed, where he'd worked part-time for extra cash. When asked why he powered on the phone in 2022, Travis said simply, "I kept it. I don't know why. I just did." In March 2023, Travis Beller was sentenced to 40 years to life for second-degree murder and tampering with evidence. He will be eligible for parole in 2062. Dana Winters was in court that day. She read a statement. She was 19. She had a future. She had plans. He took her and he buried the truth. But the truth has a way of surfacing, even 12 years later. Even from the bottom of a lake. She now speaks to universities about violence prevention, digital evidence, and the importance of not letting stories like her daughter's get forgotten. For 12 years, Alyssa was gone. Lost to memory. But one careless moment, one dying phone battery, plugged in for less than a minute, was enough to bring her home. It wasn't magic. It wasn't fate. It was a single missed thread in a story full of them. And when that thread was finally pulled, the whole thing unraveled. Alyssa Winters vanished after a college party. But she didn't disappear. She was hidden. And then, she was found.